If you've ever felt completely sure you were thinking clearly and then watched yourself get the same result again, you know this feeling. You even have a sentence for it. I don't know why this keeps happening. And the uncomfortable part is that your certainty is often protection, not accuracy. You're looking at a message you still haven't answered. Your hand hovers, then pulls back. You tell yourself you're being thoughtful. Then you do the same thing you always do. So here's what happens. The mind treats feels right like it means is right. And when you're tired or rushed, feels right gets even louder. That's why the same choice can feel smart and still be wrong. The mini reveal is simple. Most repeated mistakes aren't a lack of intelligence. They're a missing check moment. They're a steering problem, not a horsepower problem. A lot of popular advice stops at trust your gut or be more confident, and that's usually where the loop stays untouched. On autopilot, you get one clean story fast. It sounds complete. It sounds finished. And because it sounds finished, you stop testing it. Functionally, this is a feedback issue. You act on the first take. Then you keep acting, but you don't create a moment where the result can correct the plan. The mind is more like a GPS than a judge. It needs quick recalculations. It doesn't need a dramatic reroute. And it can't recalculate if it never gets new input. Here are the mechanisms that keep it going. The first is confusing confidence with correctness. Confidence is a volume knob. It's not a truth meter. When the volume is up, checking feels unnecessary. The second is skipping the plan and check moment. You start doing work before you decide what would count as working. So you can't tell if you're improving. You can only tell you're busy. The third is letting a first impression become a final answer. You get one interpretation of a text. You get one explanation for a coworker's tone. Then you defend that interpretation like it's a fact. The fourth is self-judgment replacing adjustment. You miss a step. You tell yourself it means something about you. Then the sting pushes you away from the simple correction. And when those are running, 3 common mistakes show up. One is doubling down on effort when the results are flat. More time, more intensity, more pressure, unquote. Same method, same outcome. Another is trying to think harder instead of asking one check question. You sit there and grind. You rehearse. You don't test. The last is waiting for clarity before you start. You want the perfect plan first. So you delay the very action that would produce information, and the delay feels responsible. Now put a person in it. Jordan is good at their job. Jordan is also constantly slightly behind. Jordan's day is a chain of quick decisions made with high confidence and low checking. Jordan drafts an email and feels a strong, "This is right." Jordan sends it fast. Later, the reply is colder than expected. Jordan rewrites the story as, "I'm just bad at this part," and moves on. The fix is smaller than it sounds. It's a 3-step ritual that creates a check moment without turning your day into a lab. Step 1 is name the loop. This is catch it. You name what you're doing in plain words: deciding, planning, arguing, guessing, avoiding. Step 2 is cut the thread. This is test it. You cut the story that's pulling you forward. You do it by asking, what would prove me wrong? Step 3 is reset on repeat. This is tune it. You change one small input, then you run it again for 5 minutes. Jordan uses this on a typical stuck moment. The inbox is open. Jordan feels the urge to polish one email for 20 minutes. Jordan pauses and names it. I'm guessing what they want. Then Jordan cuts the thread. What would prove me wrong? A quick check appears. Jordan scans the last 2 messages to see what the person actually asked for. Now, the reset. Jordan tunes 1 input. Jordan writes a 2-sentence reply that answers only the question that was asked. 5 minutes later, it's sent, and the result is real. This pattern shows up often, but not for everyone. Some people already check constantly and still get stuck for other reasons. And some situations punish feedback, which changes how safe it feels to test. There's also a boundary here. This won't solve a relationship where the other person refuses to be fair, or a job where the expectations are structurally impossible. Now the 3 micro tools that make the ritual easier to do when you're tired. The first micro tool is the first take label. When you feel that fast certainty, you say, "First take." Then you write 1 alternative explanation in a single sentence, not 3. 1. You can hear the difference right away. The original story sounds like a verdict. The alternative sounds like a possibility. That tiny shift makes testing feel normal again. Jordan uses this in a tense text exchange. The phone buzzes. Jordan reads, "We need to talk." First take says, "I'm in trouble." Jordan labels it, "First take." Then 1 alternative. They might be stressed and want time on the calendar. Now Jordan can test instead of spiraling. Jordan asks, "About what and when would you like to talk?" The second micro tool is the disconfirming check. You ask, "What would prove me wrong?" Then you do a 2-minute check that can give a yes or no. Not research, not scrolling. A small reality hit. If you think they're ignoring me, the check is simple. Look at the last time they replied. Look at their usual pattern. Or ask 1 clean question that invites a concrete answer. The evidence is mixed on whether people get more accurate under pressure. Some do, many don't. So relying on "I'm sharp when it counts" isn't a plan. The third micro tool is the 5-minute input swap. When results aren't changing, you stop adding effort. You change 1 input for 5 minutes: time, place, tool, or order. If you keep rereading the same page, change the order. Write 2 sentences from memory first, then read again to fill gaps. That creates feedback instead of fog. If you keep avoiding a task, change the place. Stand up, open a blank note, type the smallest ugly version for 5 minutes. This isn't about being positive, it's about steering in real time. Autopilot feels smooth, but it can fly you in the wrong direction. There's a reason this feels so personal. When you don't check, the only data you feel is emotion. Frustration feels like information. Shame feels like a conclusion. But feedback is quieter than emotion. Feedback looks like a sent message, a timer that ran for 5 minutes, a question answered with a yes or a no. That's why vague goals keep people stuck. Do better gives you nothing to test. It gives you nothing to tune. It turns the day into a mood. So you keep it concrete. What result are you looking for in the next 10 minutes? What would count as worse? What would count as better? When you do that, confidence stops being the boss. It becomes a signal. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's noise. Jordan doesn't become a different person. Jordan just stops treating the first take as final. Jordan starts building tiny recalculations into the day. The mistakes still happen, but they don't repeat as long. You can feel the change in one spot. It's the pause before you send the message. It's the pause before you defend your point. It's the pause before you add more effort. Name the loop, cut the thread, reset on repeat. You don't need perfect thinking to get different results. You need a small check that happens before the pattern locks in. And you need to run it again when the day gets loud. Some days you'll catch it early and the correction will be small. Some days you'll catch it late and the correction will cost more. Either way, the loop is the same. Autopilot doesn't feel like autopilot. It feels like being right. And it keeps going until something forces a recalculation.